Closing time. Time to close the statements of the functions, and I'll tell you what I think. Molly, the person who talks about things. Hi everybody, my name is Molly, and I am telling you my name. So I'm going to talk about the functions overall, and this is kind of a conclusion video to the series. I talked about each of the functions and my interpretation of that, along with some concrete knowledge from a book. So if you want to check those out, they are on the YouTube, just like this is. The introverted functions go deep, and the extroverted functions go wide. Are you focused more on your internal world or your external world? And identifying which, you have to look at each of the functions and how they apply to both. But the extroverted functions are more centered around what's going on around them and connection to their external world, whether literally or with ideas, but it comes from out here. And the introverted functions come from your internal world, so they come from here. And so whichever one you feel you identify with stronger, that's a good way to discover which functions you are using. ENFPs, who are extroverted intuitives, could talk about all sorts of deep topics and might not be as inclined to obsess over one sort of theory or philosophy as much. I keep wanting to break. I feel like I'm talking in a lecture form. Here, I'm talking a little more real now. I feel like I'm like, these are the things I want to say. I am teaching you things instead of just talking. And it's kind of like that because I do want to make sure I cover all my ground, but I want to be real with you. So let's get real. That wasn't real, that was just a snap. Extroverted intuition talks about everything. I wish that I could talk about everything, but I could talk everything about nothing, or everything about something. I have a few topics that I dig really deep into, whereas Franco, ENFP, all sorts of topics, which is great for small talk emergencies. He's good at it. He might not like it, but he's good at it. Can't say the same for me. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So let's talk about death. Mistyping someone is similar to like assuming that someone's using autotune because they're perfectly in pitch. Sometimes you know that it's super autotune, like T-Pain sort of thing. You're like, yeah, that's definitely autotuned, and you know, but sometimes you don't know, but you think you know. There's a lot more behind type. Not all people look the same. I'm sure you can find a lot of eerie similarities to different types. But it's mostly about how they function and how they operate. And if they've done that research themselves, they know. You gotta trust a lot of that. Again, sometimes you know, it's so clear, there's auto-tune, but sometimes they just have perfect pitch. If you have auto-tune on your album and you don't know you have it on your album, then you might want to talk to your producer, aka your personality indicator, and do some more research on yourself so you can better understand what really resonates with you and who you really are. Because I feel like self-exploration is a thing that takes time and care, and then with that, love. So use it for good, not for bad. MBTI can sometimes be used to stereotype, as most systems of classification can lead to. That's kind of the downfall of typing. Like, oh, well, you can't be an ENFP because you're not funny, or you know, things like that. That's just a fallacy. The functions tell you your preferences, and with that, you may have your own individual behaviors and identities, or some similar. I know a lot of INFJs enjoy journaling, but that's not to say that if an INFJ does not journal, they are not an INFJ. People have been using this logic, and it doesn't make sense. So I just wanted to to caution you all to be open-minded. Everyone's different. Everyone has unique identities to them. And sure, there are certain ways you might function, operate, and make decisions in this life that are similar to those in your type. So you can better understand that process through learning about MBTI and the functions. And that's what I think it's for. It could be used as a tool for self-growth and also for understanding other people, not for boxing people in or for boxing people out. All are welcome. It's all so stupid. It's all like freaking made up. It's all made up. Everything we say, all these words we're choosing. I choose this word. Now I choose this word. What word am I going to choose next? Who knows? But I'm making the words up. So I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Everyone is a robot and it doesn't matter anyways. I wonder what you think of the functions I've described in my philosophies on That's a Loud Fridge. And the functions that I see so that was extroverted sensing. I focused on the fridge. It's not like I'm void of extroverted sensing. I've got it. But it's not.
Hi, Internet.
Hi. Why did I say hi? I'm not the Internet.
Not the Internet.
We have all the functions, we just use them differently. In different ways.
Yeah,
at different
right.
times. Thanks, I've got green on. Matches my eyes. I'm just basically saying, okay, so I came up with this analogy that you can't, so how we'll hear someone and there's clear auto-tune, right? Like, or it's like, that's auto-tune.
Yeah.
And then there's
The
times,
smidge.
yeah, and then there's a smidge when you're not so sure if it's auto-tune. And so I compare that to typing. Like, sometimes, sure, it's definitely off, but sometimes it's like, you can't just say, that's auto-tuned, for sure, and know for sure. You have to talk to the person.
I can't tell if something's out. Like, I need to hear a whole phrase a couple times. Like, to actually hear it.
Yeah, but even so, like, someone could be just perfect, have perfect pitch, and just sing perfectly.
There's certain tells. It's weird.
Is that a bad analogy?
No, not at all.
Because the point is, like, you have to ask them, or ask their
engineer,
and their engineer would be their self, what would be their engineer? Their engineer would be their self-work. Like, you know what I mean?
Or they're, like, them telling the truth is the engineer. Like, you don't know if you know until you tell someone.
You have to ask the engineer. Well, they had to do self-exploration. The engineer could also be the friends who know them better than you do. You don't know them, Internet.
There are telltale signs. Wish I remember which one it was. There's Michael Bublé Christmas song that he did. And it was like, really, really, it was auto-tuned. Like, I could tell, like, there's no way he was that smooth. Like, he's a human. Like, human, there's going to be error, you know? And it was just so, like, it was just this perfect, like, from this note to this note, and this perfect bend to it. But there's a couple signs of having auto-tune. It's not just like, oh, because it didn't do, it's not auto-tuned. Yeah, there's like different things. Like, it could still be auto-tuned.
Side note, you used introverted sensing to go back and take that information about Michael Bublé and apply it to this conversation.
What can I say? Very nostalgic.
So,
I still wish it was Christmas.
this is the end. This concludes the series of the functions and the wonder that they bring. Can you stop crinkling that?
I'm
It's
sorry.
disrupting the video.
Internet, give me my girlfriend back.
And I think this is the last time that you'll see this location. This is like the function location. So if I talk about functions, this is the feng shui for the functions. But when I talked about introverted and extroverted feeling, it had different lighting, so it messed up the consistency, and that bothers me, but that's not something that I need to talk about. So, anyhow, have a great day.
There are 3 things on this U2 album that I really don't like.
What?
Like, I finally feel like I've listened to it a bunch to where I can actually make an assessment. It's not bad. And I do like some parts of it. But what's worth noting is that there are 3 lyrics on this whole album that I can't live with. Like, they're on songs that I like.
Wait, there are 3 lyrics that they keep repeating?
Mm-mm. 3 separate lyrics. Like, lines.
Oh, gotcha.
3 lines and 3 separate songs that I just can't.
I can't stand it.
I can't stand it. I can't. He's better than that. I mean, he's come up with some of the greatest lyrics. To me.
Well, he's getting old, so...
He's trying to connect with a younger audience.
And
it's
forced.
I know, like, okay. No, I didn't talk to him in the secrets of his room, and he confided in me and told me this. But hearing these lyrics and putting it up to his older work, I have a really good feeling that he's trying to grasp a younger audience. I'm going to read you these 3 lines. She whispers, don't do, just be. You were talking at me and not to me. And it is what it is, but it's not what it seems. Those need to be stricken from those songs.
Why?
Because they're very new cliches. They're new cliches.
I like the first one.
It's a cliche. It's a cliche.
We both sing about cliches.
Yeah,
in our own way.
No, about cliches, but that's like a legitimate... None of us are using the actual cliche in the song.
Wait, the first one was a cliche?
Yeah.
Wait, say it again.
She whispers, don't do, just be. It's like a new cliche. These are like new cliches.
I didn't know about that cliche.
Yeah, don't do, just be. No, and yeah, it's a great song, then all of a sudden this...
ruins it with that.
I mean, what are you trying to do? You're better than that. Man, I can't get... Oh. It's putrid.
Putrid. Do you have anything to say?
About?
The functions.
I am still confused about the functions. The functions get me confused. And it's funny, like, we call these things functions about stuff that we do on a daily basis. Like, we're labeling what it is we're doing instead of just talking about what we're doing. That's why I get confused with your friends. We're like, well, because he was totally using SI, and then his IN, and then his P. It's just out there hanging.
It's how you process, how you take in information, and then how you make decisions, which everyone does these differently. So it's just articulating that.
Mm.
But I get what you mean. It's not letting you have any freedom to just do something without it being labeled.
I don't like restrictions.
It's just basically, this is how you take in the world. What?
Nothing.
Do you smell?
I might. It's either that or our house.
It could also be the smell of missing your gummy worms.
Maybe. 'Cause I'll never know. Never know.